What's going on, everybody? It's your man Oskino the Don. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button as it allows the channel to grow and the content to reach more people. And definitely smash up the like button. The more likes, the more that it reaches. It feeds the algorithm and my videos circulate. For those that are already subscribers, you know what to do. Get them likes up and drop the comment below based on today's topic, what your thoughts are, because I always am interested in knowing what you, the subscribers, think about the topics that I like to talk about. Like I said, my perspective is just one perspective. I like to know how everybody else out there is thinking, their thoughts. So I will always say that the most important part of diversity is diversity in thought. We can't all think the same and expect to have the full picture. So your thoughts, your comments are very necessary and does help the channel grow. So please smash up the like button. And if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. So today, what we're going to talk about is hydrogen powered cars. That is the topic for today. And it's recently become more of a topic to talk about, namely because, you know, one of these billionaires named Elon Musk back in 2015 said that hydrogen powered cars were a dumb idea. Now you fast forward to 2024, he now has put out or is in the process of manufacturing a hydrogen powered car. So for those that do have Teslas and the electronic vehicles out there, you see the problems that the weather can cause for these electrical cars. There's videos out there of people saying it took them more than 24 hours in total time to charge their car. And some people still weren't getting any juice in their battery for charging it for 18 hours. So just imagine if there's, an emergency, God forbid, right? Sort of like that movie that came out on Netflix, directed by Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, or should I say executive produced, my bad. Um, Leave the World Behind. Now people want to say, oh, it's just a movie and things of that nature, but come on, y'all. Relying on electricity to get by isn't always the safest thing. Now, people want to talk about the gas emissions and things of that nature. Well, this is where hydrogen powered cars come into play. Now, mind you, throughout the history of technology and creating things that could benefit humanity, a lot of the times it doesn't benefit other people's pockets. And when I say other people's pockets, I'm talking about the corporations that are in control of the economy. The rich stay rich, the poor stay poor. So what a hydrogen powered car would do would not only clean up the atmosphere in our environment, but also be a lot easier of a renewable resource because what you're doing essentially is splitting the atoms of water and using the hydrogen parts to power a vehicle. And guess what will be coming out of your exhaust pipes? Steam. That's it. Steam. So just imagine you run a shower, you got hot water, and you see the steam building up. That's exactly what would come out of your vehicle. It'll be a truck, bus, car, you name it. And this energy is very renewable, despite what they want to tell you in any article out there. Now, I did find one article that I want to reference for certain reasons. It may even go against what I just said, but I just want to give people a deeper perspective on what the future can be and why it's important to do your due diligence based on certain corporations and what they like to put their money behind because they haven't really found a way to monetize hydrogen powered cars yet. But best believe when they do, the price is going to jump up. So I would just say pay close attention. Don't mind the distractions out there because there's a lot of distractions. But let me pull up this article that I can read from in reference. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna share my screen with y'all. Those that are watching me on my other platform, TikTok, come over to my YouTube channel, same name. I'm live right now, dropping this knowledge. Love to hear from y'all. So tune in if you're able to. Okay. So the article that I have comes from the website of carandriver.com. Now this article is written by John Volker. I like to give people their credit. I don't plagiarize nothing. And the title of the article is Hydrogen Fuel Cell Vehicles and Everything You Need to Know. So right now, there are only about 15,000 hydrogen-powered vehicles on the U.S. roads, and all of them are in California. Meanwhile, electrical vehicles are out there in the millions. While electric cars are getting attention with major manufacturers focusing on making them dominant by 2030, hydrogen vehicles are staying in the background for now. If I can change that, I will. This is why I'm dropping this knowledge and information so people can be more aware of the other choices that are actually out there, and maybe we can do something about it with legislation and our vote. Says here's what you need to know about what hydrogen in cars are, how they work, and how likely it will be that you'll ever drive one. Oh, I'm going to make it my mission to drive one before I leave this earth. Says you've likely heard a lot about electrical vehicles lately, as well as news about legislation to reduce carbon emissions from vehicles. But there's another kind of zero emission vehicle, one that emits only water vapor, as I've mentioned earlier, aka steam, as it carries you down the road. That's the hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, related to an electrical vehicle, but with specific differences that make hydrogen cars different and much rarer. To date, about 2.5 million electrical vehicles have been sold in the US. By contrast, as of mid 2020, 15,000 or fewer hydrogen powered vehicles can be found on US roads. So we're in 2024 now, so I'm pretty sure the number went up even just a little bit. They said that all of them will be in California, the sole state with a network of retail hydrogen fueling stations to make the cars usable. Maybe that's another reason why the gas prices are elevated in California as well, more so than a lot of other states. Now, the current hydrogen cars that are currently available, since 2015, there have been 3 hydrogen powered cars that have been offered for sale from 3 different car companies. You have the Honda Clarity Fuel Cell, the Hyundai Nexo SUV, and the Toyota Mirai. But Honda has now ended production of all models of the Clarity, and Hyundai has sold fewer than 1,500 Nexo SUVs thus far. Mind you, this article is almost 2 years old. Toyota, the company most devoted to hydrogen power as an alternative to battery electrical vehicles, has sold roughly 10,700 Mirai sedans across 2 generations in the United States. Though in some periods, they resorted to substantial discounting to move them. Honda does not break out sales of its Clarity fuel cell model from the plug-in hybrid and battery electric Clarity versions. So for those who are unaware of what a hydrogen car is, here is a brief description so you can get a full understanding. A hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, or HFCV for short, uses the same kind of electric motor to turn the wheels that a battery electric car does. But it's not powered by a large, heavy battery, but by a fuel cell stack in which pure hydrogen passes through a membrane to combine with oxygen from the air, producing the electricity that turns the wheels plus water vapor. What this means is that a fuel cell vehicle is technically a series hybrid, which is why they are sometimes classified as a fuel cell hybrid electrical vehicle. To scientists, hydrogen isn't actually a fuel but an energy carrier. Ignore that distinction though, because HFCV drivers refill their vehicles carbon fiber high pressure tanks at hydrogen fueling stations. I didn't even know there was hydrogen fueling stations. Very similar in the concept to the old reliable gas station with a similar 5-minute refueling time. Well, would you look at that? Not only is it safer for the environment and more renewable, but the amount of time that you need to refuel your car It's just like the ordinary gas station. I like that. I like that a lot. And I don't know why. Well, I know why they're not pushing more of this because they haven't found a way to monetize and monopolize the hydrogen powered cars yet, so where they can jack up the prices and make it the only thing that we can buy. Try doing that with electrical vehicles, there's going to be a lot of pushback because people see exactly the negatives to the electric vehicle. Not only does it still damage the environment because of all the materials you need, but nobody's trying to get stuck in the middle of nowhere when they want to take a road trip or just when the weather conditions are either extremely cold or extremely hot. Imagine you're stranded somewhere and you're extremely hot. I mean, me, I always carry like an emergency bag on me, but still, what about for the women out there that are stranded in areas that aren't really too safe to be stranded and you can't recharge your vehicle because of the weather? Literally, it's too cold or too hot. Very interesting. Now, if it's behind the wheel, in practice, the driver of an HFCV, which is a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, for those who missed the abbreviation, will find the experience almost identical to driving a battery electric vehicle, though perhaps not one of the faster ones. There's no transmission, and the car includes regenerative braking to recapture wasted energy as it slows down. So you're talking about a highly efficient car. Now, for those that like to speed, well, you're never going to have anything faster than a gasoline powered car. But the challenge for automotive engineers is that a hydrogen fuel cells are happiest at a steady power output. That's what makes them suitable for backup power use, for instance. But the power demands in the average car can vary by an order of magnitude from something like 15 kilowatts, which is 20 horsepower, to keep a vehicle at a steady highway speed on a flat road to perhaps 10 to 20 times that amount for maximum acceleration to 60 miles per hour or higher. The fuel cell in the Toyota Mirai, the best-selling hydrogen car in the United States, is rated at 90 kilowatts, which is 120 horsepower. But that's not enough to accelerate onto a fast-moving highway. So Toyota, as do other hydrogen fuel cell vehicle makers, adds in a high-voltage, low-capacity battery, very similar to those using gasoline electric hybrid vehicles. It's there to supply supplemental power for short periods of intense acceleration, and it's recharged from either excess fuel cell output when the car is cruising at a steady speed or via regenerative braking when the car slows. So that's interesting. So when you brake, it saves energy and almost regenerates it while you're braking. Now, obviously, you're not trying to be braking all the time, but it just, based on this article, hydrogen fueled vehicle seems to be made very efficient. And like I said, the only thing coming out the exhaust is steam, aka water vapors. So just imagine that. I mean, for those that are worried about the environment, this should be on your number one list as far as us converting to hydrogen powered vehicles. Now it says, are hydrogen cars safe? Hydrogen fuel cell vehicles are widely considered as safe as any other car, since the high pressure tanks are designed to survive even the highest speed crashes without leaking or breaching. While hydrogen skeptics routinely cite the Hindenburg explosion of 1937, the hydrogen tanks in their hardware would likely survive even if the rest of the car were destroyed in a crash. No injuries or deaths specific to the hydrogen components have been recorded in the relatively small number of hydrogen fuel cell vehicles sold to date. Right now, here are some of the pros and cons of hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. So these hydrogen fuel cell vehicles have some of the same positive features as battery electric cars. They're smooth, quiet, and peaceful to drive, and they emit no carbon dioxide or other harmful exhaust out their tailpipes, just water vapor. They also lack the charging time problem that electrical vehicles have. It takes just 5 minutes or so to refuel them for another 300 to 400 mile stint. Seems like it's blowing electric vehicles out the water, if you ask me. With safety, it being safe for the environment, and you're not having to worry about taking 20 damn hours to recharge your car to drive. Come on, y'all. And we know with the little time that we have when we're not at work, it's very limited. So the last thing we're trying to do is spend that much time recharge a vehicle. Now, there are a few disadvantages, however, the most challenging being the availability of hydrogen fuel. Well, there's going to be somebody out there, if not already, that can create a device that can easily convert and split the H2O molecule atoms and just take the hydrogen. So I'm not worried about that. I said, while plans a decade ago called for California to have 100 hydrogen stations by now, in reality, the number is about 60. Most problematic, not all those stations are online and available for fueling at all times. You can count the total number of 870 green dots in the real-time station status report maintained by the California Fuel Cell Partnership to see how many are live at any given moment. That's important though, because then you can always look ahead and see what time they're closed or not and which ones are open for you to allow to refuel so you know which route to take. I mean, this is only in California. I don't know if that's changed by now, but that's very important to know. That's keeping your drivers of these vehicles as alert and aware of where they can recharge. It says many hydrogen drivers rely on that app to map their fueling stops before they venture out. Okay. Now they got these hydrogen fueling stations. So fueling a hydrogen car comes naturally over time. But aligning the heavy nozzle and sealing it properly so the car and pump can communicate electronically can require some practice. Well, how hard could it actually be, right? So today's stations can often only fuel 2 to 5 vehicles before they go offline for up to half an hour to repressurize. So it sounds like we need more fuel stations, which as the money comes in, it'll be no problem. As hydrogen fuel cell vehicle drivers in the San Francisco Bay Area discovered in June 2019, the infrastructure for supplying hydrogen to retail outlets is very thin. An explosion cut off supply to 9 of the area's 11 hydrogen stations, requiring diesel trucks to transport tanks of compressed hydrogen hundreds of miles from Southern California overnight. Drivers who depended on their hydrogen vehicles to get them to work had to set alarms for the wee hours in hopes of reaching a fueling station in time to get some of the limited hydrogen fuel. But it would have ended up refunding several months of lease payments to Mariah drivers across the state who couldn't reliably use their cars. So the main contrast and biggest disadvantage of hydrogen cars compared to electrical vehicles is that they're similar to gasoline cars in that they can't be refueled or recharged at home overnight. But unlike gasoline cars, for which there is a well-developed set of more than 100,000 fuel stations nationwide, hydrogen drivers are utterly dependent on both a reliable supply of the gas itself and an available and properly operating high-pressure fueling station. Okay, now let's get to the cost. The cost of hydrogen fuel. Let's see. With hydrogen fuel, a specialized commodity for the general public, the small amount of retail stations naturally charges high prices. To quote the California Hydrogen Business Council, currently a kilogram of hydrogen costs between $10 and $17 at California hydrogen stations, which equals to about $5 to $8.50 per gallon of gasoline to cover the same distance. All right, so we're looking at some pricey fuel for a hydrogen car. But mind you, the reason why it's so pricey is because these major corporations don't have their hand in it yet and haven't figured out a way to monopolize and monetize the hydrogen fueled vehicle industry. Mark my words, when they find a way to do it, those prices aren't going to be that high. And if they are, that's because everything else has risen due to the manipulation of artificial inflation. Yeah, that's right, I said it. To offset this disadvantage, Honda, Hyundai, and Toyota have all offered their leases and buyers free hydrogen fuel for various periods. Each manufacturer has a slightly different offer. A Toyota Mirai comes with up to $15,000 of complimentary hydrogen, while a Hyundai Nexo includes the same $15,000 over a 3-year lease or up to 6 years of ownership. That's a pretty hefty amount. I mean, unless you're trying to travel the country every month, then that'll add up quick. It says after those offers expire, however, the driver is on their own. Okay, well, we don't expect to get gasoline or hydrogen fuel expenses for the rest of the ownership of the vehicle. He said if hydrogen can be compared to gasoline at $5 to $8.50 a gallon, note that charging an electric vehicle overnight usually equates to gasoline at just $1 to $2 per gallon. Right. So I'd say the only advantage that electrical vehicle has over the hydrogen fueled vehicle is that the price of recharging. But what good is it recharging if the charging doesn't work because the weather makes your electrical vehicle rendered useless? Yeah. So I don't think I'll ever get an electrical vehicle. I would really like a hydrogen vehicle. The only thing that's coming out from tailpipes is steam, baby. So then they get into the servicing of a hydrogen car. So like electric cars, hydrogen vehicles require dealership service centers to exercise some special precautions. And the only reason why that is being is like I said, is because the information and knowledge isn't widespread yet. Like I said, once major corporations get their hands on hydrogen fueled cars, then that information is going to be passed around like a virus. Everybody's going to learn something about how to service a hydrogen car. It's not going to be the same exact thing like a gasoline powered car, but all it is information and people wanting to learn. So none of that actually wavers my thoughts on a hydrogen powered vehicle. So I will definitely be invested into getting a hydrogen fueled car. Now, the availability of that and the price of the car, I don't know how much that is, but it can't be too much more than a regular gasoline car or a electric car. Ain't nobody trying to get no Lamborghini. Even if I had enough money, I'm not getting me a Lambo. I'd rather use that money to buy some land to grow my own food, if you feel where I'm coming from. That's another story for another day. Please, if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. Drop some comments in the comment section because I love to hear from y'all. And run them likes up for me. Thank you for tuning in. And like I say all the time, the most important part of diversity is diversity in thought. Because if we don't have diversity in thought, then we're like robots or zombies, all thinking the same and seeing the same picture. But if we want the full picture, we need to have diversity in thought, different perspectives and angles. Peace and love, y'all. It's Dino the Don. I'm out.